Hi, dear viewers. I'm Akif Mateen, your host for tonight, and I'm welcoming you all to join on our live YouTube session where we will discuss about the future market projections and and we will discuss how the market may have reacted in the next week. And before going to that phase, we would like to let you inform about the last week performance and last week's scenario that we actually have been informed about you on the previous week live sessions. So for any instance, you can have a look to our YouTube channel, which is right over here. And you can you have to go to the live section over here, and you can access to all our previous live sessions that we conducted. And also don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And also don't forget to like our page and to get the latest updates. So let's just start our today's session, beginning with the news that we have actually informed last week. We have informed last week that due to the bank holiday of USA and Canada on last Monday, there had been a possibility to increase the strength of the dollar in the previous week, but we have informed this issue last week on our live session. Let's just see that how it actually went in the market last week. So let's just say for gold, if we inform that on Monday, September 4, what was the actual strength, or actually what has been market reacting, we can see that on the Asian session, US dollar was weak, but after from the mid of UK session and to the US session, US dollar acted strong, as it was the US bank holiday. We have informed it last week on the live. So hopefully this actually matches to what we actually projected for gold. Even for GBP USD, if we can have a look on, let's just say on 4th September. Yes, it actually went a little bit high and it became sideways, but the sell move that it ought to make, it actually been reflected on the Asian session and the pre-London session over here on the next day. So we can say partially it was also correct. On Monday, September 4, let's just say how USD CAD behaved. And we can see that it was kind of like sideways movement, but bullish sideways movement, as we can say for accuracy. And if we see about US 30, let's just see how it reacted on September 4. Well, we have seen that it actually, acted on a strong side of US dollar. So for that reason, we could say that yes, for indices, it was actually correct. Let's have a look to the next day on Tuesday, September 5. Here we have seen that the Australian dollar haven't raised the interest rate. That actually we have also informed last week about that, right? And when that happens, Australian dollar may have the chance to get a little bit weak. So for that, if we can relate it to the market on odd USD September 5, then we could have seen a little bit clear picture on how our market actually behaved on September 5 news. Yes, you see, when the news released that the Australian dollar will not increase their rates, so for obvious reasons, Australian dollar was weak, US dollar was stronger, and there was a 80 plus pips bearish movement for Australian dollar over here. So I hope if anyone in my live has been present, I hope you can hear my voices very clearly. If not, then I would like to suggest that you can you can chat over here and I can answer you. Yep. And I guess the chat section is okay. But why it's private? I mean, but it should be public, right? Anyway, I'll just have a look on a little bit later on. Yes, that's our video. And I guess so far, so it's good running. Okay, so let's get back to it. So on that very next day, on that same, on September 5, Tuesday, we are seeing that there had been some news on PMI, which is, we call it as a kind of like manufacturing index. Now, for GBP, it turned positive. For euro, it turned a bit negative. Now, how and why that happens, you know, it's been written over here like that above 50 indicates industry expansion, below indicates contraction, and many other factors according to this. So if this value is positive, it's actually good for economy. So on Tuesday, let's see if GBP, what actually GBP reacted on September 5. Now on September 5, we see that on Australian dollar news, it actually, been had a very rough bearish move, but later on it actually had some little bit, we can say a bit bullish move up to the next day's UK session. So that's how we can say that the news reflected the market moves accordingly. And on Wednesday, September 6, we had news of Australian GDP, which actually even been actually the similar like that of the previous value and the forecast value. And because of that, I guess it was actually acted a little bit trendy movement initially. Initially weak, but later on it became a kind of like it gained some strength. That's what we see in Australian dollar. And on Wednesday, September 6, we had news on US dollar ISM services PMI. We had news on BOC rate statement. So let's have a look to USD CAD for September 6. So when the rate news happened for Canadian dollar, it was remained the same. And due to that, we are seeing a good amount of weakness for Canadian dollar, at least 40 plus pips on that impact of the news. And later on, we have seen that the market continued bullish, which means that the Canadian dollar was weak. So that's how the sentiment actually worked, because the GDP hadn't been increased, this value, and the rate had been also increased. So it actually creates mixed sentiment. But here we informed you previously that weak Canadian dollar is the momentum that's been happening right now. So any bullish thing we get for USD CAD, we should opt to take the opportunity. So that's actually what we have discussed last week live session. We had ISM services PMI last week, and it resulted positively, and it also had some effect over here, as you can see over here. So even on the gold, we had seen some rough this kind of movement on 6 September. It's kind of like 100 plus pips strong movement on gold. That's what actually we have seen on 6th September, Wednesday. We had seen a strong US dollar movement reaction on US 32, bearish movement of 293 points plus. That's what actually happened on US station. So yes, market actually moved, that's what we can say accordingly, according to the report, and it actually been a very good movement for US dollar related pairs last week on the Wednesday. Now let's go to the Thursday. As usual, the unemployment news was released every Thursday, so it did, and the value was positive for US dollar and for Canadian dollar. So let's just see on 7th. On 7th, we have seen that despite being some strong movement on dollar, I've seen some bullish movement on US 30, and obviously for gold, the strong movement for USD was only a 50 plus pips. Moreover, on 7th September, on US session, the bullish movement for USD CAD was only 40 plus pips. So this bullish thing was actually not a little bit stronger. It was less stronger, or we can say more than weak, but not weak. So on this scenario, we are seeing that USD CAD actually had been bullish run last week. And Friday, we had Canadian unemployment change and Canadian employment report, which actually turned positive. So we have seen that for USD CAD, while the news release, it was actually put a gap on the chart and actually been on a bearish side for more than 50 plus pips on USD CAD. Now, for other pairs, we have seen some of the strong move for US dollar, like on GBP USD, on gold, and on US 32, but a little bit. So this was actually what happened last week. Now let's have a look on how the next week will happen. Now on Sunday we have G20 meetings. We are coming to the news section when we will talk about some of the findings on the G20 meetings that we have got from the internet. Now we have Chinese new loans related reports on next Monday, which is on September 11th, and it's been you know, on the news, or you know, in the years that Chinese new loans need to actually exaggerate or increase at a very, you know, big amount. And if that happens, then yes, Chinese yuan will be weak and US dollar will be stronger. That's what actually we would eye for on Monday. Now, on for Tuesday, we have GBP employment related report, which is also called that claim and count change. Now, the prediction is that it will actually be on the down run. And for that, if that happens, then pound will be a little bit weak for that day. And we have US dollar 10-year bond auction. Well, it is very much important because this kind of bond, it actually expires. The new bond purchase orders actually, you know, sets a projection or an idea about how strong or weak that currency is. So this news is very much important. Anything positive value comes from this, I think it will be good to take it. On Wednesday, we have GDP reports of pounds. We have CPI reports of US dollar. I guess that's one of the most important news for US dollar on the upcoming week, which will be released on Wednesday, September 13, and which is US dollar CPI news. Now, there are some facts on the years, according to the CPI news, that it will increase. Now, if that increases, then obviously it impacts kind of like positive on interest rate hikes and obviously on US dollar strength. So for that, if this news's value becomes positive, then previous value and obviously then the forecast value, then only US dollar will act stronger, and we will look for entries on the US dollar stronger sides. And also 30-year bond auction report will also be released on the next week, Wednesday. On Thursday, we have series of news on Australia's employment related news and issues. We have monetary policy statement from ECB on that particular day, and they will discuss on the main refinancing rate, which is also a very most important news for the upcoming week. I guess, you know, trading on euro, you know, before this news gonna release will be will not be okay. We have to see the news and then enter on euro pair, otherwise not. On that very particular day, we have for PPI retail sales news and unemployment claims for US dollar, and we have ECB press conference. So next week, Wednesday, Thursday is a very crucial, and it will create a very jumpy rides on the market because we have CPI news releases, we have PPI retail sales releases, and also ECB press conference consecutively on Wednesday and Thursday. On Friday, we have Empire State Manufacturing Index, we have Prelim and Consumer Sentiment Index. Now, let's get to some of the newses that we need to put our eyes on before trading in the next week. So, bond traders brace for risk inflation will fuel rate hike bets. Now, thing is, we actually, you know, have seen just a while ago that we have two news releases related to US bonds, which is one, 10-year bond auction is going to release on Wednesday and Thursday. 30-year bond auction is going to release. Maybe I'm not wrong. It will be Tuesday and Wednesday, hopefully. Yes, my bad. On Tuesday, it will be released as a 10-year bond auction report for US dollar. And on Wednesday, we will have 30-year bond auction report for US dollar. Now, if bond reports is good, and if by any chance CPI report is on the very positive than that of previous and the forecast value, then for obvious reasons, it will create much positivity for US dollar to increase its value, and obviously on the same time increase the value in the bond market, and also create a strong impact for US dollar on gold, commodity, and many vice versa, like a chain reaction, right? Now, see a roughly 50% chance that it will raise rates one more time in November and hold steadily at the September 2020 meeting. Now, there has been on the, in the years that there should be, Fed should increase their rates, right? And to make that happen, it will actually stimulate their targets to reach the 2% inflationary target, right? Now, 2% inflationary target is what is kind of like a base price target for every central banks all over the world. Now, to maintain that very, with a very good hand or with very good compliance, only few countries can do that, right? Like Switzerland, like many some of the other countries like that. In Switzerland, if you put your money on the bank, you have to pay more to the bank to secure your money, right? Because the rate was negative. But in recent times, we have seen that it actually been increased. Now, the Fed bumped its benchmark rate up in July to a range of 5.25 to 5.5, which is highest level in the 22 years. Now, more rate hike means that it's actually pushing US dollar strength a little bit more high. So that's why more interest rate hike been happening, right? Now, when that happens, that actually creates a good pace of strength for US dollar, right? So that's actually we should keep an eye on, because if that not happens, if only that not happens, then only US dollar will turn weak. Otherwise, we are seeing a very strong US dollar on the coming week. So euro to dollar rate 5-year outlook, significantly weaker USD possible, say Berenberg. Now, when we talk about euro and USD related, situations or facts, then we are saying that in the next week, ECB, European Central Bank, is going to release rates, right? And also we have they will actually release the interest rates decision for the European Central Banks, right? Now, on contrary to Europe, if Europe thinks that more interest rates hikes needs to be on the table, then only USD as a currency will be weaker than that of euro. Now, this weaker doesn't mean that significantly weaker USD will be possible for any kind of trading instruments. No, it's only been confined for euro USD currencies and its related business, right? Now, Australian and New Zealand dollar forecast lowered at HSBC, citing US dollar strength. Now, you see two things, two different kind of reports, two different kind of sentiments of strength for US dollar, and it's depending on what is the other currencies is been transacting onto, right? Like euro to dollar, there's a chance that US dollar may get weak, euro gets stronger, right? But on the other hand, for Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar, US dollar can be stronger, right? So let's see. Relative and 2024 OIS pricing has explained nearly 40% of all USD's variation recently. Now, markedly slow recovery in China remains the key constraint, with limited improvement in sight. Now, slow recovery in China means that a slow recovery for Australian dollar too, because they are one of the biggest trade partners together, right? And now, if China recovers low, Australian dollar also improves a little bit low. Now, for that, US dollar has the room to get more stronger on that area of focus. Now, let's get back to pound. What actually we are seeing for pound next week? Now, it's an article from Market Pulse. Now, GBP USD, a Bank of England pause may not be as far away as thought. Now, thing is, GBP USD is in the near of major support zone, so there is a possibility that it can have some support in the coming days. So US dollar weak, then strong. That's what actually they are being eyeing for. The like UK job report next week could offer anything helping hand. Now, how is the GBP job market been reflecting? Now, in paper and pen, you can show that you have many jobs in the country, right? but how people are actually reacting and having the monetization ecosystem been built up through that kind of involvement, economic involvement, that's is the main question. Like more jobs doesn't mean more uh you know more strength on economy. That's not what it means. Like for example in Bangladesh, or country like Bangladesh, where the per square kilometer living people are much higher than that of many other parts of the whole world. At that case, this doesn't work. In Japan, more jobs doesn't mean they have kind of like another like problem. They have many old people increasing on Japan. So even if Japan offers many jobs, they have less people to comply with that, right? In Bangladesh, the thing is totally different. So for country to country, this actually differs. Now for GBP USD, what we are eyeing on is actually, pound is now in a very complex situation. So we have to follow the GBP news and Euro news is upcoming on the upcoming week, right? Now here is been telling as a news that US CPI to make doves cry even if core eases and Euro vulnerable to ECB regardless of decision. ECB is being on a verge what they will decide. That's is been reflected over this article. And like many of China's critics complain that consumption as a percentage of GDP is low, and while it's true it reflects high investment rather than a weak consumption per se. Now, one fell a little bit 1% last week, despite aggressive fixings by People's Bank of China. For Eurozone, there is a 70% chance of hike in Q4. Now, if that happens, that's actually we have been eyeing for the strong euro, weak dollar. That's what actually we have been eyeing for Euro USD only. But for AUD USD and NZ USD, US dollar will act stronger. That's what actually is the complex scenario we could have experienced in the upcoming week. Now for Japan, I guess the weak scenario actually continues because they're actually been printing money more, quantitative easing more to fix their economy and also increase their military budgets too. So yes, the weakness on Japanese yen could continue. And sterling fell about 1.5 cents last week due to little it settled near this low. The broadly stronger dollar and what seemed like dovish comments from Bank of England Governor Bailey were the main drivers. So that's why actually had the chance to go a little bit bearish. For Canada, I guess the weakness for the Canada prevails, and it will continue. So does Australian dollar and Mexico. So I'm gonna share these links to you guys because it's a very important link. You can have a look at it. Just scroll down and have a look at it. Okay. Now let's get back to the chart because we have a little time. Okay. Now, as we informed earlier, that what we could talk about the G20 meetings that actually had been happened. The Delhi leaders' declaration omitted words from the last year's statement that overtly condemned Russian aggression against Ukraine. Now, this is a very important point. As an India, as a hosting nation for G20 summit, it actually omitted words that actually been focused as a Russian aggression against Ukraine. And Ukraine criticized the compromise in the G20 joint communique. The Delhi Summit Agreement called for a slew of measures aimed deeply integrated the global South's development needs and ambition with the G20. India, US underscore deepening partnership with multilateral deals on the sidelines. Now, I need to share you these links because it actually has many important videos too that actually I guess if you have a look at it, you can actually understand what actually been the scenario of an outcome that actually we had got on the G20 meeting. Okay. So is this video still private? Why? I mean, like, should be public. Yes, it is. Anyway. Okay, I'm gonna share you this thing over here. So this is kind of like a story, like an article where how the Canadian economy has been performing weak, and how the weakness will continue a little bit. That's what actually has been explained. So that's why I need to share you these. Yes. So just have a look to these links, and I will later on share all these links in the comment section so that you can have a look at it later on. Okay, now let's get back to the charts. Like last week for US 30, we had informed that it needs to break, this thing to go more bullish, or it needs to break this with a high, pace to go more bearish. Now, last week it actually been, on the verge where it will go. It was kind of like confusing move, right? It went a little bit bearish on the very first of the week, then acted a little bit bullish for US 30. For gold, what we informed last week was that as it actually went higher, then there is a high chance that it will continue its higher, or if not, it will again come back to this level, and which it actually did, right? Now for GBP USD, if we see, we had informed that as it broke this channel and actually been, in here and here too, so there is a chance it will continue its bearish tune, and we had informed the target 100 pips nearly target, and it actually hit the target very precisely. For USD CAD last week we had informed that the bullish thing continues, but it needs to continue, at a high pace, and it needs to close above 1.368 on 9, right? It did on H4, but it doesn't actually reflected or been break. It actually rejected from that price, right? Now for USD JPY, we had also informed that yes, it needs to break this thing, which it actually didn't. So for USD JPY, our thing won't work, I guess. Yes, because it needed to close above these levels and it didn't. So let's get back to see how the market may have behaved. Now, these levels are supports and resistance levels that actually we're seeing. Now, there are two cases here. We can see there's some bullish thing, liquidity being grabbed over here. So there's a chance that it may continue and touch at least 415 points above up to this level, which is 35,000. Now it's a psychological level. It needs to break, I guess, at this level. And when it does so, we have to wait, because either it can continue its bullish up to 35500 level, or no, or it can reject it back again to 34500 levels. So there's a 500 pip, 500 points related movement that's actually we are eyeing for on US 30. So either go bullish or more bullish, or it can go a little bit bullish and then go down over here at this level for touching this liquidity zone right over here. So let's have a look to gold. Now gold is been kind of like on a mixed scenario, right? It actually, gathers some support over here, wanted to went high, then came back, then couldn't break. Now if we see that this structure breaks and market closes below 1905, then we can say that we can have a confirmed bearish move initially up to, let's just say, on 1885, and moreover on a 1850 levels. Now if by any chance it goes above the previous weekly high level, which is this a 1945 level, or let's just say 50 levels, then there is a chance that it can touch 1990 levels, or furthermore 2000 level. So that's what we are actually eyeing for gold, either this or this. Now for GBP USD, the same thing happens. If the strength of the US dollar for pound continues, then it can have the opportunity or the potentiality to touch 130 plus pips bearish up to 1.23375 according to my chart. Now, if by any chance it actually closes above 1.263 level, which is actually 150 pips above the previous closing of the week, it has the potential, it will then only have the potentiality to touch 1.28 levels, which is actually 180 plus pips, right? So we will search for buy options, buy for pound over from here to this zone, and for sell side, we will search for this or moreover up to this if we see some lack of support in this level at 1.233 levels. For USD JPY, it's still the same. The market needs to close about 148.5, and then we can say that we will have a chance up to 150 levels, right? Otherwise, not. I'm saying some zigzag movements over here unless or until it breaks 148.5 levels. For USD CAD, it's kind of like same. It's still maintaining some zigzags, but the hopeful thing is that if it crosses about 1.369 level or specifically 1.37 levels, then we can say that we will have some bullish movement up to 1.388 level, which is actually 170 plus pips above than our potential price. But if somehow Canadian dollar gathers strength or US dollar becomes weak and the market closes below 1.355 levels, then we can have a 250 plus pips movement on the bearish side up to 1.33 levels or 3290 levels. Okay. So for AUD USD, we have informed that yes, there is a high chance that the weakness of AUD USD will continue and the strength of dollar will continue. And if that happens, then for the strength side, on the bearish side of AUD USD, we can say that our initial target will be on 0.626 or furthermore up to, let's just say, on this level, which is 0.5965 level. So we are eyeing for kind of like 350 on the maximum level, and initially we are eyeing for at least 150 plus pips on bearish side for AUD USD. But if by any chance it closes above 0.66, then for sure it will touch 0.69 level in the upcoming week. Now, same kind of sentiment happens for NZD USD. We are seeing some bearish side over here. Now, only the bullish side activates if the price closes above 0.6 levels, which is the psychological levels too. Otherwise, we will search for bearish side for NZD USD. So I guess that's all for now. Here we discussed the previous week's news and next week's news that's going to come and what actually we will eye for. We already have shared important links over here on the chat box. I hope later on when you will see, I guess we will have the opportunity to visit the links and have the clear picture yourself. And also we have discussed how our projection for the previous week worked and moved on, and what will be our next week's projection for US30, gold, GBP USD, USD JPY, USD CAD, AUD USD, and NZD USD. That's the pair and currency pairs we have discussed. Now, if you have any more queries or you want to know more about some other trading instruments, you just let us know. We will try to include that in our next week's live session. But till then, I guess that's all for now for you guys for today. From my side, I guess it's all for today. We will again meet you in the next week at the same time, at the same place on the Forex Wave Export YouTube channel. And hopefully on the live session, you will all participate and have some very interactive sessions together. So on the hope for that, I'm Akif Mateen signing out right now. Have a nice week ahead, guys. Bye-bye.